In this quick video, we're going to walk through how to create gems and use Canvas in Gemini. We already know that we can go to gemini.google.com and sign in with our JCPS account. Let's take a look at creating gems. Gems are a great way to quickly create prompts or to get information that we need. Instead of creating the same prompt over and over, we can create gems. So if we click on the 3 lines, some people call it the hamburger menu, we can see our gems. I already have one for translating documents into French, but let's walk through some more. We're going to hit Explore Gems. When we do, we can see some that are already here, made by Google, and it'll tell you exactly what it is, or we can add a new gem. When we add a new gem, we're going to see you need to name it, give it instructions, add knowledge if we'd like, and then we can preview it. So again, gems are a way to do the same thing in Gemini over and over quickly. And here's an example, but let's do one. The instruction already has an example for you, but let's go ahead and add ours. We're going to say that this is a feedback gem for 7th grade writing. You will be supportive and help students with writing. That's very general and generic. But we can click on this little pencil right here and use Gemini to help us write these instructions. So Gemini will create a prompt for me. So this would take me a lot of time to put all of this information in here. Purpose and goals. And again, it takes all of that off what I already put in here, that it's going to be for 7th grade writing. Help students identify improvement with their writing, spelling, grammar, sentence structure. It goes into all of these things for me. We can see that there's a supported tone, the overall tone, and it gives us a lot of information here. But I also want to make sure I give it a name. We'll see that name right here. So when we add our prompt in, it's going to have these instructions for us. Now, if we remember back to chatting with AI and creating a prompt, think of gems as creating or taking away the PAR of parts, where we have our persona, our aim, our recipient, theme, and structure. We're taking some of this information and putting that in a gem that we're using over and over, but we'll still need to give it more information in our prompt. So a gem does half of the prompting job for us already. All right, now let's save our gem. In any gem we create, we can access on our left-hand menu, but let's go ahead and start the chat now. Now all I need to do is add some of my students' work. I'm still going to tell the prompt what to do, which is provide feedback. And now I'm going to add a file, or I can copy and paste that in. I'm going to add from Drive, select shared with me, and select a short story that my student shared with me. This is a short story that my student Pepper Potts shared with me. I'm going to prompt it for feedback. And now Gemini is going to use that gem to give feedback based on the tone and the other requirements we asked of it. So here is the feedback we have. It lets us know it's the feedback gem. It's working with us. Thanks for sharing. So here's what we can tell the student. We could put this in a comment in Google Classroom back to the student. When we give feedback, we can say they did a great job. This situation about the character. It's important to understand that Gemini and all AI does make mistakes. So you'll definitely want to read the feedback and make sure that it goes with the story or the writing your student put in. And as we go through, we can see this is where the student needs to make adjustments. We can export this to docs, copy the response, or just use this feedback to have a conversation with the student. And we can create gems for whatever you like. So if we hit Explore Gems, we can see our gems here if we ever need to edit or delete one. So we now are going to have a gem so that I can create a 5-minute warm-up question every time my class comes on. Again, I don't want to go too deep into the instructions because Gemini can help me. We'll call it warm-up. Here's the purpose and the goals, the behaviors. So now, again, I can save it or just start putting a prompt in. Generate a question about sports. And so every day, instead of trying to generate a new question or having to create a whole new prompt, here we go. This is a question we can add. And then the next week I can say, generate a question about your favorite song. And it'll give me a warm-up question that is going to be clear, concise. It should take students only 5 minutes. It's going to be light and fun while also making them think. And again, when we're done with our gems or after we create one, we'll hit save. And our gem's been created. Canvas is also something that we're going to want to utilize in Gemini. Think of Canvas as an interactive workspace designed to help you create, refine, and share various types of content, from different documents to coding. It's a collaborative environment where you work with Gemini rather than just getting a static response from it like we have been with gems in our prompts. Canvas is a powerful tool for coding. We can use it to create snippets, debug, and explain code if we need to. We can also have it generate things for us that we can embed in our Google Sites. Let's take a look at how we can do that. We're going to click on the canvas so that's blue. And I'm going to enter my prompt. Generate a countdown from today's date to December 23rd, 2025. Have the days change color and snow falling in the background. Have it winter theme. Then we're going to hit submit. As it generates the code, we can also click on the preview side once it's ready. Canvas will use an HTML code that we can put into different sites and interactive applications. This means that we can see our design and code function as we build it without needing to switch from one application to another. So we can see here, this is our countdown. And we do have the days, hours, minutes, and seconds. And we can continue to build off of this. We're now going to ask it to remove the seconds option and call it countdown to winter break. And this is going to adjust again. And we can switch back and forth between looking at the code itself and previewing it. And that looks a little better. We can share it by copying all the contents. And again, we can embed this in a Google site or wherever we'll take the code. And as you work on it, if you need to jump from one to another, you can always go back here. I'll demonstrate that in just a moment. So we can now prompt Gemini to generate something else for us. This time we're going to have a generated timer that counts backwards from 1 minute. And we're going to have the numbers change colors and a happy face bounce around in the background. And we can see here, that's going to be the code for that one. But if I want to scroll up, I can see that I can still access my winter one here while clicking on the open. And there it is. I can retrieve that code. And let's hold back down to my bouncing timer with fireworks. Let's start the timer. But using Canvas is more than just coding or writing. You can use this to generate reports, blog posts, study guides. We can create visual timelines, interactive quizzes, and we can personalize things for our students as well. And let's make sure that this timer does exactly what we've asked it to do. Now, it didn't have fireworks in the background, so let's try again. Wait, it's rebuilding that code. And it's ready, we can preview it. So even though we're working with code and we're generating new things, we can keep putting in prompts to adjust these news. And let's look at how we can use this with our lesson plans. I'm going to go to new chat. And again, always click on Canvas when you want to use Canvas. We're going to say create a lesson plan on teaching ecosystems for 5th grade science. There we go. All right, so here we go. We have our lesson plan. We have vocabulary, materials, things like that we would need to teach our class. As we work in here, we can highlight and make adjustments or ask Gemini. We can scroll down, ask Gemini to change this wording into simpler terms. So we can highlight and make adjustments as we need. We can also type in what we might want. As we select different sections, we'll see a little pop-up here. Change the length, change the tone, suggest edits. We can change the tone to make it more casual, more formal, very formal. And you'll see over here on the side that's making those adjustments. We can see it now says fun stuff we can do later, making it work for everyone. Instead of deforestation, it now says cutting down trees. And we can suggest as many edits as we need to until our lesson plan is perfect. Keep in mind, while this is a great plan to teach our students, we will always want to make sure that we're working with our admin and leadership team to ensure that we are meeting the curriculum standards. And now let's ask it to create an interactive simulation of ecosystems for my students to explore. So not only are we going to have this lesson plan, but we're going to have something fun for the students to interact with after. And again, we could scroll up and access those other codes at any point in time. So we now see that we have this ecosystem simulation that we can display on a panel and interact with our students. We can go ahead and click to move these little sliders. We can add plants, add animals into it, and also reset it. Lastly, what I will ask it to do is to create an interactive quiz. When just like anything else, we can add adjustments to this. We can preview it. We can always scroll back up and access those previous things that we created. Gemini is always adding new things and changing. So keep in mind that even though this is a great tool, it may change shortly. And we also need to double check everything that we have or generate within Gemini. Thank you for joining me as we walk through using Canvas and creating gems in Gemini. You can find this and so much more at jsbs.me/TLC and by going to your JSBS quick links and selecting digital learning channel.